The Idries Shah Foundation podcast. Practical Psychology for Today. Featuring the works of Idries Shah, voiced by David Ault. Welcome to the Idries Shah Foundation podcast. In this edition of the podcast, we will hear selections from Oriental Magic by Idries Shah. This audio has been made available by the Idries Shah Foundation. Chapter 15. A New Thought Force. Akasa and Magnetism. The supposed connection between hypnosis and magnetism is again under review. It is possible that traditional contentions made by Far Eastern wonderworkers that there is a life force by which such a phenomenon as gravitational force is nullified may have some substance in fact. This, of course, does not support that magical practices might receive scientific support, rather that some of the subjects formerly thought magical could come within the ken of better understood natural laws. It appears that the following phenomena are related to magnetism and electricity. Akasa, the Hindu theory of life force which can defy gravity, healing by touch, and hypnotic phenomena. Parallel concepts echoing the Akasa idea are to be found in several other systems of thought. The Polynesian mana idea is almost identical. M.J. Ruku has spent several years in France examining the characteristics of human electricity under scientific conditions. Briefly, he claims that the human body is a type of electricity-producing and storage plant. The presence of negative electricity, it is held, accounts for certain marked phenomena of hypnosis and healing. Taking a number of faith healers of established reputation, Ruku discovered that their fingertips seemed to repel small articles charged with negative electricity. In electricity, it will be recalled, like repels like. Accumulated under the skin, he says, in his recent work Les maladies et le magnétisme, this electricity is discharged into the body of the patient by the healer. In this way, a supposed deficiency of subcutaneous electricity, the so-called protective electrical shield, is removed. The human body is like a wonderful electrical generator, producer, accumulator, receiver, and transmitter, of which the center is the brain. Through the nervous system, the positive fluid is discharged, causing the entire system to function. How does a person become a natural healer? Ruku holds that natural healers seem to be those who have abnormally dry skins, which encourage the accumulation of subcutaneous electricity, a negative charge. In normal persons, this charge is constantly being given off. Surplus electricity not needed for running the system simply leaks away. Readers will at once see here a reflection of the Akasa thesis of the yogis, who claim that a vital fluid has to be stored up in the body and mind and discharged into an object in order to influence it. Ruku's experiments, claimed to have been held under scientifically controlled conditions, seem to parallel the Akasa activities of the fakirs. In order, however, to establish such a phenomenon as within scientific bounds, it is essential that easily controlled experiments be devised, and that they be capable of repetition with invariable results. Here is one, according to the supporters of Ruku. It may not prove that a negative electrical charge is emitted by the human body, but it is claimed to prove that something apparently physical does interact between human bodies. The subject sits on a chair, while 5 or 6 others place their hands, one over the other, above his head. The object is to charge the subject with a negative electricity through the leakage of human electricity provided by the other human batteries. After several minutes, the effect of gravity can be proved to have been reduced. 2 of the experimenters, using only 2 fingers, are able to lift the subject, chair and all. But the effect does not last long under these conditions. The static leaks into the earth. Thus the lifting must take place at once. The parallel with levitation is interesting. Why do the fakirs specialize in stopping certain bodily functions, such as respiration? This theory claims that in this way electricity is saved and a hoard built up, either to produce supernormal effects or, more generally, to step up cerebration to a higher pitch than the normal. Hypnotists, too, are familiar with certain phenomena which remain unexplained. Among them is the following, a test for hypnotic susceptibility. The subject stands facing north, with his back to the hypnotist. The operator holds his hands, palms parallel, to the back of the subject without, of course, touching him. The subject cannot see what is going on. Slowly, the palms of the hypnotist's hands are drawn with a wiping motion, downwards parallel to the subject's backbone, and about an inch away from it. Easily affected subjects invariably sway backwards during this process. It is important to note here that while most hypnotists accompany this operation with verbal suggestions of sleep and falling backwards, these are not necessary, as I have myself ascertained. Words merely enhance the effect. Ruku claims that this phenomenon follows from the static electricity postulate, and that the aura, said to surround sensitive mediums and others, is merely the constant discharge of static from the skin. The hypnotic trance then concentrates the brain, charging it with the bodily electricity, and can cut off the supply from the nerve complex which serves the limbs and organs. Recent researches by Professor J.B. Rhine of Duke University, relating to the supposed effect of the mind over inanimate objects, might fit in with the above theory. Dice, among other things, were used in thousands of controlled experiments, and attempts were made to influence their fall merely by an effort of will. In terms of the Ruku theory, Dr. Rhine trained his subjects to project their cerebral electricity towards interrupting gravitational force. In his latest published researches, Professor Rhine, whose integrity as a scientific investigator is unchallenged, shows that such influencing of material objects by apparently mental means is a possibility that cannot be ruled out. A whole new field of research is now open. How to establish the nature of this force and its scope, how to harness it, having regard to its presence in that most difficult of all media, the human brain. The first step is foreshadowed by current work being undertaken by Ruku at Paris, the construction of an electrostatic machine to measure the nature and extent of human electricity, and particularly the means of its engendering and discharge. The main obstacle to this type of research is that the vast majority of occultists fall into two groups: the converted, who believe things because they want to, as a sort of wish fulfillment, and the over-enthusiastic, who let their enthusiasm run away with them. It is the latter who too often find themselves called upon to explain their discoveries to audiences so pitifully anxious to hear wonders that they are almost disappointed if they are not rewarded by exaggerated claims. To illustrate, Louis de Vaux speaks briefly of this problem in a recent book on astrology. Draw up a chart, make a few hasty calculations, and say your say in a dark, slow voice, and they will do what they are told. You will direct their lives, you, with a spoonful of knowledge and 2 spoonfuls of acting. What is the remedy? There is, so far as I can see, none. No more than there is a remedy against the spread of indiscriminate education without culture and the development of common sense. The only avenue open to students of the occult in their strivings is to operate strictly on a basis of science. And modern science, which often struggles against occult studies when it troubles to take any notice at all, should not be regarded, surely, as an enemy. The very fact of the existence of unparalleled reservoirs of knowledge accumulated by modern science itself means that there is material enough for serious occult students to draw upon for their investigations. How does all this fit in with akasa, magnetism, and the rest? Take one example. In the 1930s, a strange series of experiments took place at Harvard in the United States. The faculties of economics and astronomy discovered that there seemed to be a positive correlation between certain terrestrial and solar phenomena. More precisely, the Harvard Committee on Research in Social Sciences financed a study which claimed to show that sunspots were associated with trade cycles. By means of statistics, graphs showed that sunspot activity affected world trade. Economic conditions seemed to react according to the amount of ultraviolet rays that penetrated the stratospheric barrier. As far as I know, this concluded the investigation. Astrologers immediately claimed that this fact proved astrology. What it may have proved was that the sun affects things on Earth in ways that man had not generally realized. How or why was not known, and is difficult of further investigation. As far as theories like akasa are concerned, this indicates that there are still forces which we do not entirely understand. Who is to carry the research further? Occultists and astrologers, because, with few exceptions, orthodox scientists are not deeply interested at the moment. How many astrologers, however, are concerned with this and similar problems? It is probably safe to say that not many of them bother. I am certainly not against astrology as such. In fact, I write on it myself quite a lot. But I do feel that many astrologers want things both ways. While their subject is very much on a similar empirical basis as other sciences were in the Middle Ages, they still strive for recognition among sciences which are more developed and capable of greater materialistic proof. Now, either astrology and kindred semi-occult studies are to be on the same footing as, say, chemistry, or they are not. If they are, they should either be similarly organized in their thinking and practice, or at least should be more empirical. If they are not, are astrologers barking up the wrong tree? It seems to me likely that the semi-occult arts may find their own level on a slightly different basis from that of materialistic science. It may well be that this is the very ultra-sensitiveness of astrologers and others which makes them such attractive targets for attack by their opponents. As anyone who has been to school knows, there is no fun in teasing people who are unaffected by it. Even if you call it bullying, the mechanism is the same. Whatever may be the correct attitude, the fact remains that phenomena like akasa or sunspots, or anything else which seems to point towards forces which are not fully understood, will bear closer examination. The people who want to believe that there may be a vast potential use and meaning in these phenomena are those from among whom serious students and investigators should emerge. Chapter 16. Love Magic. One of the most popular branches in wizardry in India is that of venereal magic. This term, known as strikamani, covers every known form of association with the opposite sex. Men go to the practitioner to obtain the love of women whom they intend to marry, women seeking children by a charm for this purpose. Those who are already married invoke the spirits to allay discord or to ensure reconciliation. Rite to arouse passionate love in a woman. This spell is recited as many times as possible during the waxing of the moon and is believed to be universally successful. With the all-powerful arrow of love do I pierce thy heart, O woman. Love, love that causes unease, that will overcome thee, love for me. That arrow, flying true and straight, will cause in thee burning desire. It has the point of my love, its shaft is my determination to possess thee. Yea, thy heart is pierced, the arrow has struck home. I have overcome by these arts thy reluctance, thou art changed. Come to me submissive, without pride, as I have no pride, but only longing. Thy mother will be powerless to prevent thy coming, neither shall thy father be able to prevent thee. Thou art completely in my power. O Mitra, O Varuna, strip her of willpower. I alone wield power over the heart and mind of my beloved. This spell is accompanied by the manufacture and waving of an arrow, which is the physical counterpart of the imaginary arrow of love referred to in the text. As with other spells of this kind, the rite may be performed either by the lover or by a sorcerer employed by him. Spell for arousing the passion of a man. There are a very large number of these charms. In general, they follow a pattern similar to those employed by the opposite sex. The main difference seems to lie in the fact that they have to be practiced at least 7 times, and women are always enjoined, for some reason, never to confide their magical activities to other women. I am possessed by burning love for this man, and this love comes to me from Apsaras, who is ever victorious. Let the man yearn for me, desire me, let his desire burn for me. Let this love come forth from the spirit and enter him. Let him desire me as nothing has been desired before. I love him, want him. He must feel this same desire for me. O Maruts, let him be filled with love. O spirit of the air, fill him with love. O Agni, let him burn with love for me. The following charm is also frequently used. By the power and laws of Varuna, I invoke the burning force of love in thee, for thee. The desire, the potent love spirit which all the gods have created in the waters, this I invoke, this I employ to secure thy love for me. Indrani has magnetized the waters with this love force, and it is that, by Varuna's laws, that I cause to burn. Repeated twice. Thou wilt love me with a burning desire. Estrangement also brings many opportunities for the exercise of magic. In the case of a wife deserting her husband, or of a woman preferring some other man, this spell is repeated at least 49 times in the evenings until such time as she returns. Method to secure the return of a woman. I have commanded the heavens, the earth, all creation to stand still. I invoke through this power the spirit which has the power to make all things stand still. Through Agni, by every means and ways of return, do thou cause so-and-so to return to me. This powerful charm cannot be denied. In 100 and 1,000 ways thou shalt return to me. As with most peoples, the preoccupation of many single individuals in India is to obtain a spouse. According to the Atharva Veda, this is simplicity itself. Spell to obtain a wife. Taking a bamboo stick or wand with 7 knots in it, the magician attaches to the end a metal hook, symbolically representing the hook of Indra. The client sits on the ground in front of the master without uttering a word. The following spell is then pronounced by the sorcerer. I take upon myself strength of 100 men. I take up this power in the name of the spirit that comes here, that is coming, that has come. O Indra, give me that strength. As the Asvins took Surya, the child of Savitar, to be a bride, so has destiny said that here shall come a wife for this man. Indra, with that hook of gold, of power, bring here a wife for him that desires a wife. Though the uninitiated are not supposed to practice these rites, a large number of more or less correct versions of the printed Vedas are now in circulation. Many of them are incomplete, but all contain the love magic spells actually used by thousands of laymen. A favorite one of women to procure a husband is this. Spell to procure a husband. I seek a husband. Sitting here, my hair flowing loose, I am like one positioned before a giant procession, searching for a husband for this woman without a spouse. O Ariamano, this woman cannot longer bear to attend the marriages of other women. Now, having performed this rite, other women will come to the wedding feast of hers. The Creator holds up the earth, the planets, the heavens. O Datta, Creator, produce for me a suitor, a husband. Charms against rivals. There are a very large number of these spells. They follow, in general, the established pattern of identifying the invocant with some supposedly supernatural power. After reciting the statement that he, or she, is thus super-endowed with magical force, the spirit is called upon to exercise its good offices in favor of the operator. Some charms involve the digging up of a plant with suitable incantations. This spell is used by a woman against a rival to ensure that she does not get married. This woman's power, her good fortune, her advantages have all come to me. She no longer has them. She will, like the mountains, sit in her parents' house, i.e., she will not be married. O Yama, great king, this woman will be for thee and for none other. She will have to remain in the household of her mother, her father, or her brother. She will keep the house for none other than thee, King Yama. To thee I have presented her. She will remain with her family until she has no hair left. O woman, thy fortune is covered, concealed by me as within a deep box. This is done in the names of Asita, and of Kasyapa, and of Gaia. It shall remain hidden. In the case of a woman fearing that she might be replaced in her husband's or suitor's affections by another, this charm is used. Digging up a plant with erect leaves, the woman recites the following formula over it. Charm against a rival. Verily do I dig up this plant, this powerful plant, for a certain purpose. This herb is possessed of a power, the power to overthrow women who are my rival, the power to obtain or keep a husband. O plant, thou with leaves so erect, so full of beauty, let this man be for me alone. Let my rival be put to flight. Use thou the power which thou hast, and that of the gods and spirits also. I am greater than the other woman, more important, powerful. Together do we banish her far away, farther than any other distance in her hopes. I am full of power. Thou, O plant, art also all-powerful in this respect. Together we shall easily overcome this woman. O man, I have enchanted thee by the virtue of this plant. Nothing is stronger than the force which I have invoked and placed upon thee. Thy thoughts will never stray henceforth from me, but will follow me, as water follows its predetermined way, as the calf follows its mother. Having obtained a husband or wife, presumably the next logical step according to Vedic magic is this spell to ensure the birth of a son. Lo, the seed hath blended, and this is the way to the birth of a son. This has been ordained by Pragapati. Pragapati, Anumati, Sinivali, they have made him. Pragapati will cause the birth of a female child to others. To us will he make a son. Spell to prevent miscarriage. Just in a like manner as the earth does produce created beings, so shall a child be successfully produced. Thy embryo, like that of the mountains, shall be guarded, and a child shall be born safely. Under the same heading come prescriptions for hate magic. Spell to make a woman sterile. In a society where plural marriages are not at all uncommon, The birth of a child to one wife inevitably places her in a stronger position than the childless women of the household. Consequently, loss of seniority or affection causes many women to hope that they will be the only childbearers among the wives. If the husband has brought home another wife, her rivals in the harem will repeat this spell. O Gata Vedas, prevent those who are on the way from being born. Thy womb, O woman, I have by these magic arts enchanted, and it is reversed, and will not produce offspring. Thou art sterile. This stone I take, and it represents thy sterility. At the same time, the woman who knows of the jealousy of another will fortify her cause thus. Spell against jealousy. This jealousy that you feel for me, that strong feeling do I hereby destroy. The fire of it I cause to fly away, as does the wind the fire. As sure as death, and as sure as dead is dead, so is that hatred dead. I have squeezed the jealousy from your heart, as air is squeezed from a bladder. The magician, who is often being paid according to how many spells he casts, will urge his client to make assurance doubly sure by using several different charms for the same purpose. A woman whose husband is losing interest in her will weave one spell for his love to return, and perhaps another to increase her own beauty. Charm to increase beauty. The Arati, that demon which is causing my ugliness, thee do I cast out. All the lack of grace that I have will be removed by the powerful Varuna and Mitra. Aryaman, make my hands beautiful, let me be happy. Happiness is the purpose for which woman was created. By the spirit Savitar, let all uncomeliness be banished, all unwelcome things of mind or body or look, these will disappear. All blemishes, all lack of beauty, they have been driven away. Hymns for virility. Virility seems to be considered so important that special practitioners devote their lives to a study of its production. Elaborate hymns are chanted during the preparation of the spells to ensure this end. It is probable that the psychological element plays quite a significant part here. Two plants are used, Mucuna pruritus and the root of Feronia elephantum. They are dug up with the following words. O herb, thou hast been uprooted by bulls, a characteristic piece of symbolism which can be traced in many Indian magical rituals. Thou art a bull, abounding in lusty strength, and it is for a bull of that kind that thou art being excavated by me today. An iron ploughshare is used to uproot the plant, which may be either of those already mentioned. Often they are both collected at about the same time. After being bruised and steeped in water, infusions from them are mixed with a little milk. Sitting upon a pestle or stake, the patient drinks the mixture, repeating this virility charm. Thou art the plant which Varuna had dug up for him by Gandharva, thou potent and lusty herb, which we have uprooted. Ushas, Surya, Pragapati, all are with me, all will give me the potent force I seek. O Indra, give this material power, it has heat like that of the fire. Like the he-antelope, O herb, thou hast all the force there is, as the brother of the great Soma. This hymn ends with a graphic and appealing invocation of all the powers of Indra, likened to the lusty force of animals. This podcast is copyright 2018, the Idries Shah Foundation.